Busbridge Lake, Godalming water. It's going to be my home for the night. It's quite deep at this end, up to 10 feet or more. So I think I'm going to head up to the middle somewhere, sort of hedge my bets. It obviously gets progressively shallower the further you go up. It's obviously a water with a dam, as you can see I'm standing on it right now. And then up that end there is a stream that comes in. It's obviously very shallow up that end. Anywho, let's crack on, find a swim.
Alright, well, evening folks. I'm here on Busbridge Lake, Godalming water. Got my gear set up, so halfway down the lake. It's a long tapering water. Deeper at that end, shallowing up. I'm kind of in the middle here. Just kind of settled in, got my gear ready, having a little look around. Haven't seen any mega obvious signs of fish or anything exciting. It's actually quite deep. I think it's about 6 foot, just a couple of rod lengths out. I'm surprised. I thought it was going to be a bit shallower than that. And well, the swim, I've got a lily bed that side, reasonably dense one, and then I've got quite a sort of sparse one there. A nice bit of open water, and then on the far side, well, I don't intend to fish. There's another lily. A few little bubbles popping up out there. As far as fish go, I believe there's a few carp, not many. There's quite a lot of tench. There's bream, hopefully not too many of those. And then, you know, small silverfish, skimmers, roach. I don't know if there's crucians in here, naturally. I'll try to look in the book. Let's have a look. Bream, carp, crucians, gudgeon, perch, pike, roach, rudd and tench. There we go. So, might be able to get a few gudgeon tonight. I think what I'm going to do is fish one rod, a couple of rod lengths out down here by the lilies, and I'm just going to loose feed there because I don't want to potentially attract a whole load of bream. And then I'm going to put a rod basically in the middle, in the deepest water. I'm gonna guess there's an old stream bed there, kind of a silty bit, a lot of natural food, and I'm gonna ball it. I've mixed up some ground bait here. It's just what is it? Sonny Bait's green koi. Yep. 3 different size of pellets in there, and I've got about 8 of these, and I'm just going to toss them out. I'm going to spread them out over about 20 feet ish. I'm not going to clip up or anything like that, so when I'm casting in the dark I'm kind of going to be ish, and wait and see. I've got worms, pellets, sweet corn. Sweet corn are flavoured up with a bit of liquid cell and a bit of Fruit Surprise Archie Braddocks. This is like bloody gold dust, this stuff. I've also got some little 12mm boilies. Apparently I was speaking to the guy at Apollo, and he reckons that there's just millions of silverfish in here, and it's quite difficult to get through them Now I'm not too worried about that at night because basically small fish go to sleep. But in the sort of run up this evening I might have to resort to putting something like that on, a 12mm wafter. I've got a few different types of small boilies. And that's about it. Oh, I forgot to mention this place apparently is haunted. I've had a walk around it. It's kind of spooky, and it's in this valley, and it's all this ferns. It's actually part of an old convent, and they lease it to the club, I guess. So might have some visitations during the night. Not that I believe in that sort of thing, but there's no one else here. There's nobody else night fishing tonight. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I've heard a few stories of various things. Goodness knows how these rumours start, but once the ball's rolling, they'll just keep going. So yeah, I'm not a particularly superstitious person. Seen a few of the lilies knocking around, you know, bum bum. Whether they're small fish or big fish, I don't know. There's lots of fish topping. Lots of them. The rigs I've got are basically exactly the same as in my last video. In fact, they're the same. I haven't dismantled them. Essentially, I've got an 11-foot 125 Avon. Little bait runner, and then I think this rod's got £8 line on, so this is the one I'll use down by the lilies here. The other one's £6. It's a pellet feeder. This little peg here actually fits into a hole in the feeder and makes it a pretty weak semi-fixed bolt rig. It's quite good. That sort of complies with the club's rules. No fixed leads. And then a sort of 4-inch hook length, size 10 QM1 hook with a quick stop, and that'll hold a couple of grains of corn or a little boilie or a worm, whatever I decide. Right, I think I'm going to shut up and throw a bit of bait out. Right, lob a bit of bait in. Just down the edge here I'm going to go for corn, pellets and copworm. I'm not going to be feeding little and often because of all the small fish. Basically just going to dump some in now and then probably dump a bit more in just as it's getting dark. Slightly to the right, about halfway. Spread them out a little bit. Maybe I'll do 2 for luck. I should have enough left over for my feeder. Right, that'll do. Get some new hook lengths tied up and then get the rods out. No idea if you'll be able to see that, but there's loads of fizzing coming up right where I boshed in that ground bait. Let's hope they're tench and not bream. If they were bream, that would be kind of annoying, but we'll see. There's also this little bugger hanging around. It's not really going anywhere, he's just been kind of sat there. Cool, bloody hell, look at that lot. Huge fizz came up then. Well, that's kind of positive. It's got my hopes up a little bit. The guy in the tackle shop was saying it's fishing really crap and you can't get through the bits and the bream aren't feeding, no one's catching any tench. But, well, that looks alright to me, so I've got my fingers crossed. Got some sausages on the go. I suppose the rod's been out about 40 minutes. I've been getting line bites on both. I just brought my further out rod in, and sort of half the worm been nicked off, so I'm guessing that's a little rudd or something. Still fizzing quite hectically out there. It must be really grubbing about. It's hard to tell whether these little knocks are small fish or bigger fish hitting the line. There's a lot of small fish in here. I don't really know what the score is with this lake. There's nobody here. There's no one here. I can't tell what there's obviously been a work party recently and they've done a lot of tree cutting and bank work and stuff. It's hard to tell whether it's a popular venue or not. It's nice though, to have a whole lake to yourself. Very unusual. Certainly the club I'm still a member of Farnham, but a lot of their waters were rammed. The trouble with Farnham is basically most of their lakes have carp and bream and not a lot else. There's only really the Frenchams and a couple of other venues, lakes anyway, that aren't carp oriented. It's nearly all carp fishing. Even Frencham, which is a very low stock water, is quite popular with carp anglers. But a lot of their lakes are just bloody noddy type venues. It's fair enough if you're into that sort of thing, but it's never really floated my boat. As you probably know, I don't really fish for carp. It's kind of shame that their carp venues don't offer anything else other than bream, really. And to be honest, I'm not a bloody big fan of them either. So something splashing around just down there. It's probably a bird. Surprised I haven't actually had a bite. The amount of bubbles coming up out there. I thought I'd have had a bite by now. Now hopefully that means they're tench. Because to be honest, if they were bream, I'd expect to have caught several by now. Whereas tench can bubble away like mad and yet not touch your bait. So fingers crossed they're tench, you know, that would be good. I'd sooner catch a few tench than a lot of bream. I'm bloody starving. Can't wait for these sausages to be done. Starting to drop dark. I've not had a proper bite yet. I actually cast my near side rod out over the brown bait as well. That had corn on it. Little plucks and rattles and stuff on each rod. And when I brought that one in, the corn was gone. And my worm had been nipped at again. So small fish are obviously a bit of an issue, taking an interest. So what I've done is I put a little boilie on one rod and I think it's about 12mm pellet on the other, and chucked him back out there. There's been a few carp, well, I guess they're carp, I don't know. Decent fish, sort of sploshing around and jumping out. One or two down there, and certainly a couple up there a bit further. Optimistic, just waiting. Surprised. I think they've been little fish, small fish, rather than liners. You know, liners you normally get quite a violent jerk and a bleep, and these have been much more rattly kind of things, and I think they're just small fish having a peck at the bait. That's why I've put these bigger baits on. I've got plastic bait as well. I've got corn and casters and plastic maggots. Although I'll be honest, I'm not a devotee of them. I haven't put enough effort into using them to overcome my gut feeling, basically, that a real piece of bait is going to be more attractive to a fish. Now, I understand the theory behind these plastic baits, that, you know, essentially when a fish is nosing through a carpet of stuff, they're basically sucking up everything they can. But almost taking your bait by accident, if you like, rather than smelling it or seeing it and seeking it out. They're just literally going around going, and you know, they get pricked by the hook and off they go. And I've never really been in a situation where I've had to use them because I've been bitted out. So for the moment I'm going to keep real bait on. And if I'm honest, I'm expecting these small fish to bugger off as soon as the light goes down. You just don't really catch small fish. I don't know if you've ever been night fishing with maggots on a float, but if you have, you'll know that as soon as the sun goes down, you don't really catch little perch and roach and things like that anymore. You tend to only catch big roach, skimmers, tench, bream, and carp or eels, but you don't really catch perch and little silverfish at night. It doesn't really happen. So I'm quite confident that as soon as it's dark, I can, if I want to, switch back to the corn and the worm again. Well, I'll see how these baits do. If I start catching on boilies and pellets, then I'll stay with them. I don't rate boilies for tench, really. I know that they're one of the, you know, they've accounted for a lot of captures of tench, but I think that's got more to do with the number of people that use them than actually how effective they are.
I can guarantee that if I'm fishing worm, I would catch more tench than I would if I was fishing boilies. Don't know if you can see that, but that's a nice little tench, about £3.5. So, bosh, haven't blanked. And my target species as well, which is great. Right, let's pop him back in the lake. Now I've got to untangle my rig out the lilies. Ah, there we go. Another tench. Probably 10 minutes after the first one. It's probably £3, 3¼ £3.5. Female. On the worm, close in again. It's funny, didn't see any bubbles or any activity down there, but that seems to be where the fish are. Right, I'll pop her back in and have my cup of tea now. Turn my light off because it's attracting too many bloody mosquitoes. Right, another cheeky little tench, about £3. They're very skinny fish in here actually. Is that a female? No, that's a male. Yeah, very skinny. Well, at least it's not a bream. I'd have put money on that being a bream actually, the way it fought. It came in like a bloody plastic bag. Yeah, quite lazy. Alright, well, that's 4 tench. I'm quite pleased. Bloody hell, what was that? Just heard a really weird noise. Well, I survived the night without too much of a do. It's kind of spooky though. A lot of animal noises. A lot of animals running about in the bushes. Foxes, owls, bats. I can see where the rumours come from. But didn't see any apparitions or anything. Nice place though, interesting, beautiful, and there's obviously a lot of fish in here. All night I was hearing stuff washing out and splashing, so tench. Cheeky little toad. Yeah, weird last night. It wasn't spooky, but a lot of noises. Sounded like there were people hooting and hollering in the woods as well. Which is a bit odd. Sort of howling and making comedy ghost noises. What have you got in there? Oh, I had a little one. He escaped. Interesting to know what the sort of balance of fish stocks are in here, how many crucians there are. how many bream, how many tench. I mean, I've caught more tench than I've caught bream, which is thumbs up as far as I'm concerned. And catching the odd one is alright, but when they crowd out your intended species, you start to wish they were all made into fertiliser. Now I've got a fish on. Tenchy. I had that one by casting to a little patch of bubbles then. That's a pretty tench, that is. A bit more chunky than the others. Not massive, 2.5. But lovely. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, maybe I won't pack up right away. Right, I think I'm going to wrap this up now. It's coming up to 9 o'clock. Got to get them skates on really. But I like it here. Yeah, really good. Considering it's the first time I've fished it, I've caught 6 or 7 tench, a few bream, and a roach. And once I've learnt a bit about the place and explored a few different swims, it should be a really good venue. Definitely back here with the float rods, that's for certain. Alright, well, there's not much to say. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I upload pretty regularly. If you like them, then subscribe. I'll see you next time.